3D printing and car audio is actually a cool combination. So when I think about all the 3D printed stuff I have in my Smart now, so first the additional mounts for my radio, then the speaker mounts in the door, so speaker adapters, then rings on the tweeters so they don't vibrate stupidly because the little parts don't fit quite right. All things that I had just printed for myself and didn't print it here on the printer. But why? Not really, because I have the printer, so should I, or do I want to use it too? The problem is actually the material. The easiest and most printable material on a 3D printer is PLA. So PLA is also included as standard with every printer. So, a roll with which you can directly print the demos, and everything works wonderfully. And PLA is also, well, it's easy to print, because it just holds up. I do have a heated print bed in my Ender 5, which is a feature that helps with better adhesion and print quality. And the print head can also print at higher temperatures. That's not the problem. But nonetheless, I've somehow gotten used to the other materials, or rather, a level. Higher would be peachy. That would be a bit more stable, and actually what you want in a car. It's ABS. Or what's the other one called? I'll show you. Definitely, those are the things that are UV stable and can withstand a lot of heat. But to print the necessary stuff, there really shouldn't be any breeze while printing, and they are relatively difficult to print because they come off the print bed and require extreme temperatures, and so on and so forth. Was just not feasible with my printer here, because otherwise the belts would have somehow come loose, and all that fun, which I really didn't feel like doing. So what's the problem with PLA in a car? Because it's a nice raw material, easy to print. So what's the downside? It's easy. PLA is neither UV stable nor heat stable. That means in winter it won't be a problem at all. But at the latest in summer, when it gets a bit warmer and the sun is shining on the car all the time, then something might happen. I have a story for that. I want to get myself Coke speakers from OmniOS Audio, the CX 3.3. I wanted to get myself to hang on the A-pillar, so I wanted to print a housing. So I modeled everything together in Tinkercad, got everything ready, had a nice housing, threw it on the printer, printed it in PLA, everything great. That was somehow October of last year. So attached to the A-pillar. Speakers installed, done, works, holds, everything great. It held up absolutely perfectly all winter. It fit perfectly, I had no problems at all. And then slowly, as it got warmer. Did you start to see something slowly? Slowly. And at some point, when it was really nice and warm, and the car just sat in the blazing sun all day, yeah, it turned into droopier balls. It became more like something droopy. So originally, like I said, balls, and in the end it's over. Somehow it took on a droplet shape, which also ended up resting on the dashboard back here. It had contact down here because it sagged so much, and then right here. And yes, in any case, this is now anything but rounded. And also, the speaker that's inside here, and is relatively heavy. It just pushed the hole down like that it normally looks at the face, and then it only looked towards the belly button. So pla. Actually nice, but not really usable in the car. As an alternative, which I could also print on my printer. A friend then recommended me an alternative filament. It's from the company Extrudr, the GreenTEC Pro Carbon. So, GreenTEC is the label for that, for the filament from Extrudr. It's biodegradable. Good stuff. And it comes in a carbon-reinforced version. In a carbon-reinforced version, it brings out a nice anthracite with a matte finish. So not like that. That was a bit shiny. but actually gray anthracite. That would also look really cool with the speakers. And the only problem was that you need a 0.6 nozzle to print it. Actually, 0.6 nozzle is needed. If I'm not mistaken, the standard nozzle is a 0.4 in the 5 installed. And what you need, so that these tiny little carbon fibers that are in the filaments also fit through the print nozzles efficiently and properly in order to... It's a nozzle that is 0.6 mm in size, and preferably hardened because the components, they are quite abrasive. So I got a hardened 0.6 nozzle, installed it, and started printing. And actually, since then, I haven't used any other filament on the printer than the one back there. Behind the amplifiers, you can't see it. There's still a pack in there. The other one is still back there, packed. So I really think that the filament is very easy to print, actually just like PLA. It's super heat resistant, so it should be stable up to 170 degrees. I just recently printed the new rings installed in the car. Since then, they actually hold up. That means nothing has happened yet, nothing has moved, or something like that. Accordingly, it's really a lot warmer. Hopefully it won't, and even if it does, we'll see if it holds up or not. But the temperatures should never actually occur in the car. That this stuff actually warps somehow. The disadvantage, so. People will say, okay, but it doesn't come in all colors. So, I'm a fan of anthracite. Gray, anthracite, black are my colors. So, that doesn't bother me. I enjoy printing with it. It's UV stable, it's very heat resistant, it's very stable, and accordingly, it has very nice colors. We have to filament, as I said, no color. And it's naturally a bit more expensive. So, generally, the filaments from Extrudr are a bit more expensive. And then there's also the Pro, GreenTEC Pro Carbon, which is already more expensive. So there's carbon in it again. Accordingly, it costs a 700 gram roll, I think, 50 euros. That's indeed definitely a high price for a filament, but for a good filament. And I don't need to modify my printer here, or ask anyone else to print for me, or anything else. I'm just printing the stuff myself now, that I need for my car, or that I need for outdoors. I've already printed Poolsberg with it. It holds up all summer in the sun. Like this, great stuff. I recommend it. If my installation should just warp a bit or anything else, I'll definitely make another video. But other than that, I think I found some really cool stuff. What is easy to print and what is not a big hardware required. So feel free to give it a try. And if you have any questions about it, just leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video. Your Thomas.